Good morning everybody, welcome back. So we are here in Pevensey in East Sussex. Behind me is Pevensey Castle, and this is a historic trail that we're going to be doing, and something a bit different to what we've normally done before. We are doing the 1066 trail. It's a 31-mile trail that goes from Pevensey up to Battle and then from Battle down to Rye. So in 1066, on the 6th of January, Harold Godwinson was crowned King of England and became Harold II. And that's quite a significant date, because that was the beginning of a very tumultuous year and a year that changed the history of England. Okay, so we're at the start, 31 miles, let's go. When they finish playing with their phones.
Oh, I'm going to turn the map on.
All right. All right, yeah, turn the map on. Yeah. It was quite difficult to talk around a castle because it was so busy. Lots of children cut through the castle going to school. What a great route to go to school, walk through the castle every day. This is called Pevensey Haven, this river. And then it changes further up, but we follow this route for quite some time, I believe, so it looks very nice. Would be nice to paddleboard actually. Should have brought my paddleboard. Can't fit that in my backpack though.
But then, yeah, some of the ones down the other way. I mean, the one on Dorset, there was one you literally just turn up and you pitch. Yeah, and it was like 10 or 12 quid.
It is an absolutely glorious day. I mean, we've only been walking an hour, but it's absolutely roasting. It's so hot, it's going to be a really hot one, and there's barely a breath of wind. I think tonight there's thunderstorms forecast, so that should be interesting. The last time I was in my tent was on the coast to coast, and that was in thunderstorms, so feels like history is due to repeat itself. So along this trail there are 10 sculptures that have been produced by an artist called, I think it was Keith Pittett, and so there are 10 of them scattered along the trail. You would have seen at the beginning at Pevensey, I was sitting on that boat-shaped sculpture. That was the first one. I think there's another one coming up at Hurstmonceux Castle. I don't know where the rest are, but I'll try and take as many of them in as I can on the trail. First church of the trip. So we've just been looking at the map, and myself and Stephen have got the trig point books that you can collect all the trig points for East and West Sussex, and there's over 200, and I can't remember how many we've probably got in the region of about 30, so we've still got a very long way to go. But we've just noticed that there happens to be a trig point right on the trail, and I can see it now. So we did actually think that coming over this far over to East Sussex is going to be a bit of a tricky thing to try and get all the trig points in, but at least this is one more that we can cross off. So there you go, look, there's a smaller observatory which is open. Looks like there's a chap in there doing whatever he's doing now. Cool. And right by that is the trig point. So we're going to tag that, and then we'll write that up in our book. So look, so as I thought, there was a science centre. It's the Observatory Science Centre, and I came here as a school child, I remember now, and it looks like there's a group of children over there in the distance on a school trip, I guess. But how cool, looking at all of those observatory towers together, all domes. So that's number 2 of the 10 sculptures. The castles, Herstmonceux Castle is through there. You can't actually, did actually walk past it, but the whole thing is scaffolded and covered in plastic tarpaulin, so there wasn't anything to show. You can't actually see it, but you can see the top of it just through there. We have just had a quick, well, half an hour or so pit stop at the Bull's Head in Boreham, on Boreham Street, or Boreham Hill. It was so hot we decided that we were just going to stop off and sit in the shade in the garden, have a drink, and as much as it pains to say it was a soft drink because it's too hot to drink cider. They're all very nice, very friendly in there, and offered to fill up our water bottles. Very kind, very helpful, so that was good. So if you're camping this way, note that you can pop in there, get a drink and fill your water bottles up, and you'll be welcomed. When Harold, or King Harold, was crowned in January the 6th, all was not well, because Harold Hardrada from Norway and William the Duke of Normandy both felt they were entitled to sit on the throne as well. So it was a bit of a three-way contest, if you like, and although Harold was crowned, that didn't go down very well with the other two. So Harold Hardrada decided to come over from Norway and defeat Harold, King Harold, to claim the crown. However, King Harold got wind of this and decided to march up to Stamford Bridge, not Stamford Bridge, that's Chelsea, different bridge, Stamford Bridge up in the north, and he marched his army from London 185 miles, I think it was, in 4 days. And Harold Hardrada, once he landed, wasn't expecting Harold to come and meet him that quickly, but because he marched his army day and night for 4 days, he ended up surprising Harold Hardrada and attacked them, and they weren't prepared or weren't ready for it, and they lost the battle. So that was one defeat in King Harold's favour. So Stephen's theory is because he's getting tan lines because the sun's so strong, he's now going to walk with his shorts hiked up so they look better. Oh, hello, Joe's rolling up. I'm feeling left out here now. Joe's doing a roll up job. Me and Joe have decided to join the Foreign Legion. We've improvised. Wet towel tucked in the back of your hat. You can tell that it's hot today, and it's taking its toll on everybody because it's absolutely roasting, because all the conversation stopped, everyone's quiet, and everyone's having their own internal battles with the heat. Lovely view from the top here. And that's not a particularly steep hill or big hill, but in this heat, do you know what, it felt like it was 3 times as big. We're navigating our way through this, and we've got it downloaded on iOS Maps, and I normally bring a paper map, but today is one of the rare occasions that I haven't done because it's not a particularly challenging trail, but we are happy to use the iOS map to get the bearing to go across this field and get from point A to point B. So it is worth either having your paper map if you know how to use it, or at least you using an app of some description to find your way, just in case. So we have arrived at Senlac Wood campsite, which we thought was just on the outskirts of Castlefield, but actually it's sorry, Catsfield, but it's actually further away than we thought. So we did book a table in the pub, but we're not going to make that because we're never going to get pitched up and get there and back in time, so we're going to have to cancel that. But yeah, Joe's looking a bit peaky at the moment, but hopefully a bit of water and he'll be alright. Good morning everybody. So day 2, I couldn't show you this morning packing up because it was raining this morning. We had thunder and lightning last night. I did try and catch some footage. I don't know whether you would have seen that. I don't know if it's come out very well, but it may not have done. But it was okay, slept pretty well. It was exhausting after yesterday, but feeling good this morning. So we think we've got about somewhere between 16 and 18 miles to go. So we've got a mile or so to get back on trail first. So we're just about to leave the campsite and get on our way. We're a few miles outside of Battle, so we're going to Battle first, then down to Winchelsea I think at some point. I think there's a couple of villages to go through. My backpacking meal didn't work last night, so I ended up just having my wrap. And yeah, it's at the moment it's overcast, but the weather is supposed to clear up, so it's quite humid, but it's vastly different to yesterday. So walking conditions should be a lot easier than it was yesterday, but we'll see how we go. We almost missed this. There's another sculpture with the crown on the top. So we almost missed this one. This was we just almost walked past it. I just looked up in time to catch it with the crown on top, but that's one of the sculptures. I don't know how many. I mean, we've missed a couple, so we've seen 3. I think we might have missed 2, so that's 5. So in theory there's another 5 to go. So this is the village of Battle, or town, and you can see the abbey behind me. Because we're early in the morning, the sun's not the best, but you get an idea. And obviously near this spot, one of the most historic battles in England took place. Wasn't actually in the town, but it was relatively close by. So I think this is supposed to be King Harold, because he was reportedly shot in the eye with an arrow, and that's what killed him, although that is very much debated, because although it's in the tapestry that was added afterwards, so it is much debated in the realms of history about whether that's how he really did die. I think yesterday I mentioned that King Harold was crowned on the 6th of January. That was contested by William of Normandy and Harold Hardrada of Norway, and Harold Hardrada came over, and William marched up 185 odd miles to meet him, and because they did it in 4 days without stopping, they caught him out by surprise and managed to defeat him. But of course then William, the Duke of Normandy, landed down along the south coast. So Harold, obviously his army marched back to London and then down to the coast, and he probably, I can't remember exactly the timings off the top of my head, but I think he ended up marching about 280 odd miles or so, 85 miles down to meet William the Duke of Normandy to commence battle. And that's probably his undoing, because his army were exhausted and weren't probably rested properly after marching up to Stamford Bridge and then coming back all the way back down again. But when you think about it, modern day backpackers, you know, I've got, I don't know, 10, 11 kilos on my back, because I'm carrying a couple of litres of water because it's going to come out sunny again. But to march 185 miles up to Stamford Bridge and then another 280 odd back down to the south coast in full armour, no horses, carrying everything that you need to carry, that is no small feat. I mean, if I had to do 185 miles in 4 days with my backpack, I'd think I'd die. In fact, I don't actually think I could make that. So that's impressive. Just that alone, just to be able to do that. But of course, when they got down to where the battle was, it didn't actually go according to plan. I think the battle lasted 9 hours, and whilst William Harold was doing very well because he had the high ground and William was struggling because of Harold's archers, I think he feigned a retreat, so he pretended to retreat, which then relaxed Harold and left a opening within his line of defence, and that allowed William then to exploit that and ultimately defeat him. That's another sculpture in another sculpture in great wood, and this represents the crown, and it's called, what is it called, Joe? The Truth. Hidden Truth. And so inside it shows, let's have a look, inside it shows the cost of winning the English crown, so you can see people that have died in battle inside here. This is Far Banks Henge. It's another sculpture, and it represents the trees in the tapestry, or the trees that can be found, different types of trees that can be found in the tapestry. Stop, look and listen for trains. No, all good. So this is another sculpture called Legacy, and it's got Anglo-Saxon and Normandy words intertwined round an old oak tree. So just coming out of Icklesham, and this is St Nicholas Church, which is a Norman church, which is hardly surprising considering that William the Conqueror won, and obviously influenced our country greatly. So this is the next sculpture. It's called The Watcher, and it represents a sentry looking for the Norman fleet. We have made it to Winchelsea, which is the last village on this trail before we hit Rye. So it appears we've made the end. This is it. The last post, or the first post, whichever way round you do it. And behind us is the village of Rye and Rye Harbour. And that is 31 miles of the 1066 trail done. So I couldn't really do a wrap-up video in Rye because it just finishes right by a really busy road. It was just too noisy to film. But we got the train to Pevensey, and we're now, if you look behind me, the sun's not very good, but we're at the back of the castle, So we've come full circle. So summary for the trail, 31 miles, it's undulating, there's a few smaller hills in there. The first half was mainly grassland. Also navigation wise, it is fairly well signposted, but because it's not the most well walked trail, some of the signposts are difficult to see, and some of the trail isn't marked out very well. You've got to go across the grass fields and navigate from one side to the other to get to wherever the next post or the gate is. So it is worth having OS maps, either a physical one or something on your app. I mean, you're not going to get mega lost. It's probably worth getting the guidebook as well. I didn't get the guidebook, we did this fairly last minute, but getting the guidebook would be handy because we missed some of the sculptures and I didn't have all the information available. There are information plaques by most of the sculptures. Yeah, it's been good. First day was really hot, thunderstorms last night, second day was easier. No, it's been a good trail. Yes, I would recommend doing it, especially if you're into history. You can split up in 3 days. That's what somebody else was doing that we saw at the campsite. That way you got a bit more time to explore the castles and the churches rather than trying to push on with the mileage. But yeah, so thank you very much for coming. I hope you enjoyed this video and I shall catch you on the next one. Bye bye.